Welcome to you, Leo. This is a Valentine's tarot reading, so it's a love tarot reading. As always, my love readings are never straightforward. Well, I guess my readings never are, but the love readings in particular have some twists. I only do them once a year. That isn't that love doesn't come up in my general readings, but I only do love readings once a year. So it's fair to assume this is a fairly long range reading because there won't be another for a year. The other thing I need to say to you is I'm a Leo. So I take an acute interest in the readings for Leo. And your reading for 2024 is absolutely wonderful. It's beautiful, So I look at this and I say, what the hell's happening here if everything's so good in 2024? Because this doesn't look brilliant. And there are some indications of great things. But there's also some indications of not so great. And I think, like many people's Valentine's readings, it's an interplay of both high and low vibrations. And now, not only am I a Leo, I'm also a dog in terms of the Chinese horoscope. And I have to say, this doesn't look that dissimilar to the Chinese horoscope. And maybe I'm just trying to find the positives in both. But you'll excuse me for interpreting this in terms of my own life and things that I know are going on in my life. In particular, the fact that I'm very happily married. So there might be a bit of mental gymnastics going on here on my behalf. But I don't think this is a straight reading at all. That central card there, Queen of Pentacles, I always call her the single mother card. Now, you may not be female, you may not have got children. These are just energies impacting on your conscious and subconscious during the time of the reading. Energies that you have free will and you can extenuate the good ones and try and nullify the bad ones by using the others. So it's certainly not fortune telling. So it's an energy of maybe being left in the lurch a little, maybe being on your own and having to deal with dependencies, let's put it that way. We go down to the bottom right hand corner. Chariot, clear sense of direction, moving quickly. We next have is it the Sun or the Love? Yeah, the Sun card, which is, fits in with my 2024 reading, Multiple Blessings. So wonderful. In the future, we have the Two of Cups card. Normally this would indicate a new love. If you're like me in a very loving relationship, it could just indicate that love gets stronger. What's going to lead to the outcome is a Seven of Swords. Card of deception. Doesn't mean to say they get away with the deception. Doesn't mean to say that you don't see through it. But there is deception here. What would change the outcome, and that deception leads to the outcome, what would change the outcome? Knight of Swords, you being bold, you being brave, but maybe jumping to the wrong conclusions. I think the bold and braveness is what matters here. And finally, the outcome. Four of Swords needing to take a rest. Well, that's as a result of the deception. So the deception has worn you out. I'm beginning to see this differently to how I first did. So do stick with me as I unpack this and tell you my interpretation. So yeah, this, what I call the single mother card. Let's talk about it, in terms of what it looks like, in terms of traditional interpretations of it, and then tell you an alternative explanation. So yeah, it's typically somebody that's maybe been through a divorce, lost a partner, and has dependents. They struggle somewhat with life, with all that they've got going on. But they're nurturing, they're caring, they want to do it. But life is a bit of a struggle by yourself. You look at her, she's kicked the Johnny and Mary's toys under the bed, and she slapped on some makeup and thrown on a dress and gone to the opera, and she's smiling, maybe looking for a new partner, a father for her children. She looks wonderful, but the back of the mind is, I do hope Johnny and Mary are all right. And she's doing a wonderful job, but she doesn't think she is. What could this mean? Well, let's just talk about the energy. What it could mean is that you perceive you have responsibilities. Whether or not they're actual responsibilities, I think, could be open to question. But you feel that you have to do the right thing, I don't think it's even people's expectations. I think it's your own moral compass that you feel you have to do these things. But you struggle with them because there's so much on your plate. And actually you're coping famously. But you don't think you are. You're concerned you're not doing a good job of this or doing a good job of that. Now this is an energy that runs throughout the entire reading. So I need to be recognise it as I look at the other energies. Now in the past we have the Chariot card, the card of balance, tactics and strategy in order, sense of purpose, a sense of knowing what you're doing, moving in that direction very quickly. Is this to do with global events? Certainly prior to the health crisis, or maybe it goes back a little further in my case, but the health crisis brought it into sharp focus. I had a sense of purpose, a sense of knowing what I was doing, and seeing all of the principles that I've lived my life by destroyed and stamped upon during the health crisis. It shook my very foundations, and I think most of us feel like that. But remember, this is a love reading. Is that what it's about? I think it's about your views on love, and we've been getting this in these Valentine's readings a lot. Do you have a somewhat materialistic view of love, that it's about control, ownership, rather than releasing people to be themselves? I wonder, it's just a thought. And the current energy is that of the Sun card, very much in keeping for my reading for 2024 for you, in which I was nearly in tears. This is multiple blessings, multiple blessings. On every front. So much so that when you walk in a room, people can feel the radiance coming from you. What would it mean in terms of love? Well, I suspect it means that if you're already in a relationship, that love will get stronger and stronger. If you're not, it will mean that you will maybe have multiple offers. But if you are in a relationship, maybe you also receive multiple offers. Do you know, it's something of a misnomer that people who are in a wonderful relationship and so much in love, they do attract others. It's this radiance that I speak of that bounces off them. And so in my case, I think that's what I should read into it. That my abundance of love for my wife attracts others. And I've sort of prayed that that doesn't happen, because I want to be strong and not know how to deal with them. And let's hope I can. Now, I've talked about these multiple offers, and in the future we do have one in particular. I'm going to say at this moment a new and wonderful love, a divine love comes your way, one where you just feel so at home with them. And I say it's new, but if you're in a relationship, well, if you're in a relationship, it could still be new, couldn't it? So there is that tension in this reading, but it could be just renewed love within that relationship. It could be things just getting better and better for you. And what leads to the outcome is the energy of deception. Now, I can't help but think that this is related to that sort of single mother card. That one of these, doesn't have to be a person, it could be an object or, an event, but one of these things that you feel an obligation to is deceiving you. And I think you recognise that they're deceiving you. But it wears you out. And all it might be is that they are, because this is your year 2024, but they're taking your thoughts away from the great things that you can do. If you're manifesting wonderful things and they are coming for you, then to allow a low vibrational person into your life, or into your thoughts, they don't even have to be in your life, but into your thoughts, then it is capable of lowering your vibrations. And I think that might be more what this is about than an actual deception in love. But we can't discount it. It's a love reading. Maybe you are deceived in love. Whatever, that single mother's exhausted, and I think this does exhaust you. What would change things, and I think for the better, is the Knight of Swords. The fiercest of knights. He's bold and he's brave. But he does have a tendency to jump to conclusions. And I thought that's what it was telling me, but I don't think it is now. I mean, it might be in your particular case, but in terms of the overall narrative that I'm building, I think it's just saying, be bold, be brave, If you catch out somebody that you've been very generous to, being deceptive, being manipulative, just be bold, just be brave, recognise that you've dealt with it before. So don't spend too much time worrying about it, even though it may hurt you. And this could apply to a loved one. It could apply to a loved one if the deception is by the one you love. But I no longer think it is. I think it's something external. I think it's this dependent that causes this feeling. And the end result is you're tired out. If you've been deceived, and I get the impression this is a deception that's been going on a long time, You've known about it. And really what's going on is you saying, I've already seen through you, can you stop doing it? You know, I have this story about when I used to go to Vietnam a lot, largely on business, you know, and I'd fly from Jakarta into Saigon, and it was the old airport, and I'd jump in a taxi, and remember I was, you know, used to it. And as soon as I jumped in the taxi, they'd go $10. Now, dollars are accepted in Vietnam, but, you know, I wouldn't have got dollars coming from Indonesia. And I knew that the cost in dong, if they used the meter, was about $2. And so I'd try and argue with them, but they didn't speak English. All they knew was $10. And instead of getting angry, in the end I realised, give them the correct fare in dong, even though they've not used the meters. Just give them that and get out of the taxi. What's the point in creating stress for yourself? And I think it's this sort of a situation. It's like, look, I know you're deceiving me. I know what's going on. Please stop. And they don't. Now, some of you might be feeling that that's a bit like what's been going on with governments around the world and international organisations. You know, we've already seen through it. But they keep on with this same narrative that we all know is rubbish. Well, anyway, whatever. It's very tiring, isn't it? Leo, let me start off by saying that we know that 2024 is going to be a wonderful year for you. Now, if I take this spread at face value, what I'd say to you is that you're probably in a relationship. Your partner is going to cheat on you. You catch them out, it wears you out, and it leaves you with dependents. But don't worry, in the future you will find a new and greater love. And that might be exactly how it should be interpreted. But let me give you another explanation. You have multiple blessings, and people can feel the radiance in you. And one of those blessings is you're full of love. And if you're in a relationship, you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful love that you've got. And that will attract others, but I don't think you're at all interested. There is a deception, and the deception I don't think is from your loved one. You might love this person, but I don't think in that way. It's somebody who you perceive that you have an obligation to. And they abuse that, your sense of obligation. They've done it before, and you completely see through it. But what it does do is it wears you out. Now you're being asked to be brave and be strong, because you have been through this before. And you can deal with it, but you must be brave, you must be strong. But it is going to wear you out. And how you will end up is, if you're in a relationship, that relationship will become even stronger. If you're not, you'll find somebody new that feels like they're absolutely perfect for you. And why does that happen? Well, it's because you, even though this was not necessarily an attempt by this dependent or the person you feel an obligation to lower your vibrations, but that would have been the effect on lowering your vibrations. But you've learnt the lessons. You don't bite. You keep your vibrations high. You keep yourself strong. And if you are in a relationship, you share it all with your partner, and it just makes you better and stronger.